Okay, next up is going to be Second Shot Fantasia, book number 1, written by Simon Vale. It is 461 pages, $3.99. It's available on Kindle Unlimited, and here's the author's description. I was on a date with the girl of my dreams when life took a strange turn, and I found myself sucked into a virtual game world. It was pretty much a nosedive out of my own world of comforts where I had everything: money, love, and a bright future on the horizon. I'm not a gamer, and I've never been one to run from reality, but it seems fate has decided that my real life no longer belongs to me. Now I'm rotting away in some dumpy medieval village where everyone I meet wants to kill me. But I won't give up, and I won't lose hope. I'll get to the bottom of this. What's it all for? Who's the mastermind behind it? I don't plan on just rolling over and accepting any gift fate wants to bestow upon me. And if I have to turn this whole darn world around inside out, so be it. Okay, there we go. Full disclosure, I received Ben's copy for review. I purchased a copy when it became available. Okay, this is a Russian translation story that adds a twist to the trapped in the game format by making the main character a scanned copy of a real person uploaded to the game without their permission. The game world is a PvP-centric for player versus player, with the added permadeath since all the players are just scanned copies. I wanted to like this story. I did. It just didn't really work out for me. And not that it's poorly written. It has some interesting concepts in here. But even the author, like when he was like promoting this online, he's like, this is a little weird. It might not be for everybody. And that's it's an honest evaluation of your own work when you're trying to promote it to people you want to buy it. And for me, it just didn't miss. And it's mostly because I didn't see much of a clear plot or point to a lot of the story up until about 60% mark. After that point, it gets real interesting. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're finally getting a plot and we're getting some good development. And I was really invested up until the point till the end. And I like that section. And then suddenly I was like, oh, okay, it's just that up until that point, I'm like, oh, okay, this interesting thing here, interesting mechanic here. I'm like, I guess I'll hang out to see how this is going, but I'm not super invested, or it was hard for me to like stay attentive to the story because while there were interesting points, and I definitely appreciate the PvP focus of the story, there just didn't seem to be like an ultimate goal, and it kind of even took too long to explain the setup of the story. Like the first 10% is honestly a little confusing to get through, and that 10% is like the sample section of this novel, and it takes just that long just to set up the premise, which is in the novel description. And once you do, you're like, oh, okay, I see what's happening now. Now it's a lot clearer. I can continue forward, understanding that this is the thing, that people are being scanned in without the permission, and they're being set against other players who are just playing the game. And there's a PvP system, and people are trying to like, survive and live, and players trying to kill them, and that kind of thing. And it's essentially trapped in a game story. And so, but between that point and the 60 mark, it's mostly just like slice of life where the main character is going on these, he's trying to escape the players who are trying to enslave him and other newbies, figuring out the game system, leveling up, recruiting allies to fight monsters and get other players. He eventually reaches a large community, gets involved in. There's a whole expansive thing there of him trying to contact himself in the real world to try to work things on that end, to figure things out. And that all exists, and it's there, but it never really felt like, oh, there's an ultimate goal for this story. There's like any real like plot development. Just like a lot of like mini adventures, which is perfectly fine. It's just, it's just hard to stay interested for me for some reason until, again, that 66% mark when there's an actual plot development, and it's a big one, and it's like, oh, this is the thing behind why all this happens, and the creators of the system and the real purpose of the game, and it made the stuff that came after it have purpose, and that made it interesting, especially with the town defensive that comes out, and it just took way too long to kind of get to the really interesting stuff. And I don't think that everybody's going to want to wait like I do, or is willing to read through all that before it gets to like the really, really good part. The game mechanics side of things, nothing really innovative, nothing really bad. It's just okay. It's a solid RPG progression. It's regularly shown. Smart combo spells, smart group tactics. A lot of it again focused around PvP. So you get the variation of those particular combination of skills and tactics in defending and ward against. Again, I mentioned there was some town defense later on in the story. So if you're really into PvP, this might be enough to get you interested in the story. I'm not a super big on PvP myself though. Overall, again, unless you're into PvP early or you like the group fights early on, it's a challenge just to see where the story is going until you're almost done with it. And again, there is some good stuff after that 66% mark that kept me interested. But again, I found it challenging to stay engaged with the story up until that point. Unfortunately, for me, it is a miss, but it's nearly good for me. It's just that the majority of the story is like, okay, this is just kind of okay. So like, I'm gonna give it a 6.8 out of 10 just because it's almost good for me, but unfortunately, it's just kind of a miss. So almost good, but it kind of a miss. That second shot, Fantasia book number 1, with the score of 6.8 out of 10.